It's time to level up our palettes with Project Level Up. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Emma and I'm so glad that you are here with me today for the update in my Project Level Up project. If you are returning, thank you so much. I'm sure you've already seen it, but if you haven't, I will have linked up above and down below the intro video to this project, which was introducing the palette that I was picking for level 1. Really quickly, if you do not know what this project is, it is where we are digging into a palette, using it up as much as we can, trying to level up how much we're using our products we already own in our collections. Last month, I rolled in this beautiful palette in the Falling For You from Ace Beauty. I used to say Beauty, it's not Beauty, it's Beauty. Beauty, I don't know. Beauty, I don't know. However you say this brand, it's a beautiful brand. It's Falling For You is the palette that was rolled in last month. And the way that I do this project pan is slightly different from how the creator made it. I will have the creator linked below so you can kind of go see what they were doing with this project pan and follow other creators who are also doing this. But the way that they had it set up was basically every level you would try to hit pan, a certain amount of pans in a palette. I'm nowhere near hitting pan in really anything I own, so that wasn't going to work for me. So I toned it down a little bit and made it work for me. It's still a challenge though. It is still a challenge. So level 1, when I rolled this in, my goal was to use every shade in this one time and to use one shade 10 times. And I picked what that shade was going to be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have done it. I have used every single one of these shades at least one time this month. And I managed to use the shade that I picked that I was going to focus on, which was the shade Squash. I also managed to use that the 10 times. In fact, I used it over 10 times. I stopped counting after 10, but I think I'm probably at like at least 15 by now. If you want to see this look I'm wearing today, which I used this palette for, as well as a few other looks using this palette, I will have a video coming out in probably the next week or so that is going to be a multiple looks using this palette video. So that will be linked once it is posted, but keep your eye out for that if you want to see how you can better use this palette if you already own it, or if you happen to catch it on a good sale and want to get it. Really quickly, let's talk about how I liked this palette. This palette was a little bit hard to use this time of the year because this is clearly a fall palette. Beautiful fall palette, but we're not in fall. So it was a little difficult for me to use it, not because I couldn't make looks, but because I kept thinking of it as strictly a fall palette. I was able to make some looks, such as this one, that I can absolutely see a springy time to. Winter, maybe not so much. I would say for winter looks, this was definitely would be a difficult palette to work with unless you're just going for like a darker winter look, like the browns and the deep purples. But for me, wintry looks are more blues and greens and teals. So this was difficult to use for that purpose, but I could see this being rolled in for any other season and being great. You could make this absolutely a matte everyday style look, or you can dress it up for fun events. I will say I really enjoy that I picked Squash, which was such a safe pick, I know, but it allowed me to use that as a base for not only looks from this palette, but looks from several other palettes that I was playing around with this month. And it really worked well with a lot of things. The eye look that I have right now is actually using only 2 shades from here. It is using Pumpkin Pie and Cherry Pie. Using just those 2, I was able to make this look today, which is a fun look. You can do this for a night out, a ladies' night out, or if you're just somebody who likes wearing a glittery look every day, this works great for springtime. I think my favorite colors in here are the chestnut color and the candy corn color. Now, candy corn, it is very pigmented and it is a little difficult for me to work with for my skin tone, but I was able to make it work for a couple looks, which you'll see in another video. But chestnut is a perfect everyday type look, and I went into that one quite a few times during this level up time. Even though this is a fall, clearly a fall palette, I'm glad that I brought this in because I think that was more of a challenge to bring it in during a season that I really wasn't feeling this palette and being able to figure out how to make it work. And it worked well. So I'm proud of myself for hitting my goals, doing it with a palette that clearly should not have been for this season, but still making it work and figuring out how to get more uses out of the palette I already own. So I really enjoyed this. As I said, I will have a video coming in the next week, maybe two, hopefully not, hopefully just within the next week, that is going to show you a couple of the looks that I made and how you can make them as well. So if you have this palette, that'll give you some ideas. But for the purposes of today's video, we are rolling this one out because I'm leveling up from level 1 to level 2. So what is level 2? Level 2 for me is a roll in a random palette. I have to use every shade in that palette 2 times, and then I have to pick either one shade from that palette to use 20 times or 2 shades from that palette to use 10 times each. Okay, so we're upping the usage goals. We're upping what we're expecting to do with our levels. So I am still filming with my phone, so I can't really show you my phone as I am doing the thing. So I'm going to just go ahead and screen record on my phone and pop that in right here. All right, so let's see what we're gonna get. Okay, so it looks like we're doing the E.L.F. Hit Wonders palette. Okay, that is actually a fun palette. This is the palette. It's a big palette. 18 shadows. Ooh. This has a lot of color in here. This is actually a palette that I feel like is very versatile and can be used really for any of the seasons. So I have to use this in order to level up from level 2 to level 3. I need to go through every single one of these shadows I need to use twice. And I either need to pick one of these to use 20 times or pick 2 to use 10 times each. Here are the swatches of all of the colors that are in here. You can see that there's definitely a good range in here to really make this work for any season. Some colors are really geared towards a more, some of these colors I would personally use for very specific seasons, but this palette is overall one that I could see being pulled in for every season. I haven't used this palette much, so I'm actually very excited that this was brought in, because it's one that I really need to dive into and use more. So let's see, what are going to be the shades or shade? I don't want to do just one shade. Yeah, I'm not, because this has been barely used and I want to really use this palette. I'm going to pick 2 shades to do 10 uses in each, making it the 20 uses total. So yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to do the Evergreen shade, which is this beautiful green here. Beautiful color, I think, for springtime, as well as the shade right next to it, Solar, this yellow. Now in the pan, this yellow looks like it's gonna pop and be super bright, but on my skin, it really takes a lot of work. So that's gonna be one that's gonna be interesting to work with. I will have the picture swatches of them right here. So you can hopefully see that these look like very springy colors. I think that this is the perfect time to roll these in, and I'm excited to see what this looks like. Okay, I'm excited for this palette. That's gonna be a fun one. Okay, so that is what I started with and where I'm going. Well, I'm excited I was able to actually hit my leveling goals for level 1, and I'm excited to see, hopefully it won't take me as long to hit level 2, even though level 2 is harder, but I feel like it'll be an easier palette to work with for this time of year. I think in here there's definitely some shades that are going to be difficult for me to use up. Obviously that yellow that I picked is going to be a little difficult just because it definitely needs a lot of work to really show up well on my face. But other than that, I think the hardest ones to use will actually be, I'm going to say actually these two down here, the Shade and Element. Because even though they're beautiful shades, I think for this time of year especially, those two are going to be difficult, as well as actually Penny and Danger. Those are also a little bit more like fall time or like night out for like a deeper, darker look. But yeah, we're gonna play around with this and we're gonna see how well this goes. So who else do you watch that is doing this project? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to follow them and see what they are doing for their projects. If you enjoy Project Pan videos, then go ahead and hit that like button as well as subscribe if you're not already, because I know you don't want to miss the next videos, especially the video where I talk and show you how to make this look and several others using this palette. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in a video very soon.